wanna speak to my soul. You're the only one. You're the only one.
Hey friends, what's happening? Welcome to the first segment of 8 Dates. Completely thrilled you're with us, and I just want to say bravo, way to go. You're choosing to invest in your marriage. Hey, on behalf of the Family Wellness Ministry and the Department of Youth and Young Adults from Metropolis, San Francisco, we're delighted to be on the journey with you. As we share a bit about the book, you'll have opportunity to do some discussion later, and of course, during the dates, really read the chapters and discuss personally what these things mean to you. But he had me at the first chapter opening line where Gottman says, every great love story is a never-ending conversation. There's something super cool about that and really kind of conducive to how we're entering into these conversations. He goes on to say, and I think this is profoundly Christ-like. He says you can spend a lifetime being curious about the inner world of your partner. Let me say that part again, because the part that comes after that is amazing as well, even more amazing. You could spend a lifetime being curious about the inner world of your partner and being brave enough to share your inner world. We really come down to some beautiful foundational ways of being and how we show up to our relationship. Will I be open, non-judgmental, to be curious about what's going on the inside of the one I love? And again, as he said, really have the thoughtos to be brave, to be vulnerable, to let them in to my heart and share things that really belong in this intimate relationship. Hey, as a marriage family therapist, I am particularly glad that we're using this material. Dr. John Gottman is a psychologist known for his scientific studies on marriage. And I was years ago wondering what made his scientific versus all the research out there. Interestingly enough, he studied the same couples for 25 years, had these longitudinal studies, and came up with a lot of data that's useful to us that we'll be learning about on what is characteristically true about couples that stay together who are close and grow versus what happens with the couples and what's going on day to day with the couples who don't make it, or the couples that stay together don't even like each other. So all of the variations of all the couples that he studied, we get the data from that. I think it's super useful that we have that science behind us, that good research, but also really sensible input for us. Of all his data, he filters it down to 8 essential conversations that do lead to a lifetime of love. And those 8 conversations are formatted per chapter for the 8 dates that you're going on. That's the fun part. Gottman shares the big secret that I want to let you in on that applies to everything we're beginning to do. He says the big secret to creating a love that lasts and grows over time is simple, he states. Make dedicated, non-negotiable time for each other as a priority and never stop being curious about your partner. This is what we're beginning to do by even just marking off our calendar on all these meetings that we're going to have during this 8-date series and the dates you're going to be going on. You're entering into the big secret. Secret's out. But he goes on to say, don't assume you know who your partner is today just because you went to bed with them the night before. That we have this never-ending open-heartedness to who that person is and how I can meet them where they are in the day that we're in. I also have a feeling that this is kind of orthodox. Now, why do I say that? What's so distinctive about our faith is that it's not about us scrambling, figuring out how to make our way up to God, but it's this profound reflection on how God's love finds his way to us, known as the incarnation. In a way, this 8 dates journey is kind of incarnational. There's going to be a lot of data that you've probably heard good content before. But for us to make it flesh and dwell among us, for us to descend into our 8 dates, for us to take something deep and transcendent like love and direct it toward our decision to spend time with our spouse and to have certain discussions on these dates. Something about that's incarnational, something about that I think I find it to be healthy and well balanced. So that's where we're headed. Are we ready to date? Let's do it. Before we get into the content of the first segment, we wanted to show you a little video clip of a counseling session, and it might be one you relate to. And maybe this is kind of how it goes in some conversations with your spouse. Roll tape.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
No, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't.
Try to see things my way. Do I have to keep on talking to...
I want to wrap up my portion by just making this one point that Gottman makes foundationally in the first section, where he says differences are the norm. It reminded me of a book I read years ago by M. Scott Peck. Some of the ones that are close to my age may remember The Road Less Traveled, where he opened up the first chapter by saying, life is difficult. And as he stated that, he went on to say, much of the sickness of mind that exists in our modern era is that people don't know that life is difficult, so that when life becomes difficult, they think they have to freak out. Same true with differences. Differences are the norm. They're to be expected. They're part of every relationship. They're part of our human experience. And ultimately, differences can enrich our relationships if we come to understand those differences, truly understand them, and truly learn how to accept them. So through differences, it allows this kind of healthy space for a relationship to mature. So these are the kinds of foundational things we'll be looking at in this 8-Date series. I'm delighted that right now Father Timothy Pavlatos can share his wisdom, and so glad he's part of the team. Father Timothy, take it away.
Hey everyone, this is Father Timothy from sunny Chandler, Arizona, and I'm really happy to be a part of this project. I want to personally welcome all of you to the 8 Dates. I think you're going to get a lot out of this. We have some really exceptional people that are going to be facilitating these sessions that we have, and I hope you come away with it with some valuable information and even some valuable practices. I just want to talk to you about a couple things that I'm going to be working on with you for the first session. The first thing I want to talk about just briefly is that, communicating effectively really takes skill. We're all born with the ability to talk and to use words and so forth, but really being able to effectively communicate takes practice. We have to learn certain skills that will help us do this. I've sat with hundreds of couples, and I've witnessed people just talk to each other. The problem is that many people just don't have a really good capacity to listen, and not just listen, because really 90% of effective communication is listening, but it's more than just hearing somebody speak. It's really about listening to them in order to really fully understand what it is that they're trying to say, and that's key, because we all have this need and desire to be heard, to be known, to be loved. And so in order to do that, we have to be able to connect with people. And one of the best ways to do that is to listen to somebody with the purpose of fully understanding where they're coming from. There are 7 things that I wanted to share with you briefly, and you're going to have more of this as we move on. And these are all in your book, so you'll see them that are going to be helpful. One is that it's important to be attentive to the person, and all we have to do is just think back to our first grade class when our teacher would say, "Class, give me your undivided attention. And so this is important. We can be in the same space as somebody, but we may not be fully present with them or fully attentive to them. And being present doesn't mean that you know what the other person's going to say and you interrupt them, but being present means you give them the time and the space to say what it is they need to say, and then you reflect on that with them. Another really important thing is just being able to ask more questions. I think oftentimes in conversations that we have, we're just waiting to make statements, to have a rebuttal against what this other person is saying, this loved one in our life. The more you know and the more you're informed, then really the better you'll understand the other person, and really that's the goal. We need to tune in. We can't minimize people in terms of where they are and what they want to share. And also we have to be really careful not just to try to jump in and fix somebody. We need to bear witness to what they're saying, avoid judging them, giving them advice, being critical. There's also 4 basic skills that I think are really critical to effectively communicating, and I'm just going to fly through these really quick. The first one is being able to put into words what we're feeling. And this is a lot harder than some people think. It's very frustrating for some people when they're not able to articulate what it is that's going on inside their head and their heart. But being able to do this is important. It's important to ask questions, but not just any type of question. We want to ask open-ended questions. And an open-ended question is a question where the person can't respond with a yes or a no, but they have to really elaborate on what they're feeling and thinking. A third basic skill is what we call making exploratory comments or statements. People can use some really powerful words, and as a therapist, I'm trained to look for those words and to listen for them. And then when I hear them, then I can stop the person and I can ask them to say a little bit more about whatever it is that they're trying to share. Words like afraid or lonely or disrespected or resentful or distant. These words come out in couples conversations, and oftentimes we miss them, and so we miss the chance and the opportunity to really connect with that person. The fourth skill is to express tolerance, empathy, and understanding. This can be scary at times. When somebody begins to start opening up, it can be tough to sit there and we can, be concerned about how we're going to respond. The worst thing we can do, again, is try to fix the problem or change the subject, because then they're going to feel cut off and so forth. So we want to try to work on that and fix that as well, because there's so many opportunities to connect with our loved one. And just, I guess, a final word is that, the 8 dates, we really want to focus on increasing our ability to communicate in an effective and loving way. I look forward to seeing you and spending some time with you. God be with you.